think I'm crazy.
I have to mind those big rocks.
But I feel her. I hear her heartbeat. She's so close.
My brother was abducted. The world needs you again. It needs your magic.
Follow me. We must go beyond the edge of our world, into the unknown.
Willow!
I need your help.
Just like old times. Attack! Running! Horses! Mayhem! Mayhem! Happy to see you.
Good evening, girls. I'm Miss Thornhill. I trust Enid has given you the old nevermore welcome.
She's been smothering me with hospitality. I hope to return the favor. In her sleep.
This Organized Chaos podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. Thank you. Hello and welcome to another Organized Chaos live stream. Podcast. God damn it, I'm live streaming too much. Okay.
Yeah, there you go, bud.
I know what I'm doing. I know. You know, this is the live stream that's pre-recorded. You know, that's how I roll.
Yeah. Just like Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm. Well, joining me is Bobby Quarters. How are you doing, Bobby?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I've been a little better. Sad to report, though. The dreaded Rona finally got me. I've been down since last Friday. I'm starting to feel a little better, just tired, you know.
Well, I really got the sense that you might be slacking, so I'm going to make sure to give you the whole workload this episode. So we got some news to talk about. I'm going to go take an hour break. I'll be right back.
Gotcha.
No, but we got some stuff to talk about. We got a brand new Avatar movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We got the first...
That does exist.
Yes. It was a movie that was made and does exist. We got the first 4 episodes of Willow, the new Disney Plus series. And the last 4 episodes of Wednesday. So we have a lineup. But before we get to it, we have some news.
We do.
Yes. So Henry Cavill officially announced that he is done with Superman. And...
Well, I think it was more James Gunn said that he was done with Superman.
Well, no, James Gunn said he's going to rework it and maybe find another role for Henry Cavill, but Henry Cavill did officially... I don't know if it was an Instagram or something, but he officially released a thing saying he's done.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think it's pretty clear. Like, last week I was talking about Wonder Woman 3 being, it was canceled, and I was like, I think they're just postponing Gal Gadot's contract to keep her there longer. Now I think I'm completely wrong. I think they're doing a hard reboot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to do a hard reboot of a lot of it. I mean, it's something that is needed.
Yeah. No,
in the DCEU. I mean, there's some stuff that they have that is working.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, right now, it just seems that it's Shazam.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Shazam. Wonder Woman 84 definitely has issues. The first Wonder Woman's fine until the third act. They have stuff that's solid.
I agree with that.
I
agree with that about the first Wonder Woman. Yeah. It's pretty good, and it kind of falls together in the third act, or falls apart in the third act.
Yeah. And then Aquaman, which is listen, I find Aquaman very entertaining. I don't know if I necessarily qualify it as good, but it's entertaining.
I found it hard to care about the plot and everything when I first watched it.
Oh, come on. How many times are they doing the thing where they're just randomly talking and then out of nowhere there's an explosion in the background? They do that so many times in that movie that, I just remember they reached a point where every time they did it, I just laughed. Just fucking
honestly, it happens so much in movies anymore. It's hard to keep, track of it.
Yeah. It's just oh, yeah, sure, why not?
I mean, movies in general.
Yeah.
I think a lot are still copying off that old 80s motif of action films.
Yeah, for sure.
Or maybe, the late 90s into early 2000. Like that.
Maybe. But yeah, I'll go, like, listen, I was not a huge fan of Man of Steel, but I didn't think it was a complete train wreck either.
No. I enjoyed Man of Steel. I thought it was actually pretty decent. And
Yeah.
I felt, and in regard to Bat v Superman, I think that if Ben had, all right, hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Ben had more of a vehicle to establish his Batman and Bruce Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to it just kind of being force-fed,
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have had a lot more to go on.
Oh, yeah.
I genuinely think Affleck is a good actor.
Yeah, no, so I've said this numerous times. Listen, I was one of the doubters when Ben Affleck was cast as Batman. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? He's already done a character like this. It sucked. Don't do this. I was a doubter. I don't like Batman v Superman. I find it boring and just a fucking chore to get through.
Agreed.
But Affleck was actually pretty fucking good in it. I'm not really sure if he was playing Batman, but like whatever he was doing, it was working for me.
He was fucking good.
Yeah.
He's a fucking great Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, no,
fuck.
that works. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I'm much more optimistic about what DC's doing right now because I feel like right now what they're doing is they're ripping off a Band-Aid. There's going to be lots of people who are pissed that they're rebooting this. And they're just brunting it. Like, I wasn't expecting him to brunt it. I was expecting him to try to, like, carry through as much as they can. But, I mean, this is ballsy. And they're going to get pushback. They're going to get bad pushback from this. But I think it's probably the best move overall. And lots of people will be like, hey, how come you doubted Zack Snyder when he was doing this? But you're not showing as much doubt for James Gunn. And I'll tell you right now, it's because Zack Snyder, at that point, and even to this point, has not shown me a great ability to build universes. He's shown me a great ability to put together cool-looking visuals. Not necessarily universe building. I trust James Gunn a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially with the lore of comics and that whole world building that would need to go into making a film based off of comics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I trust James more. Now, I mean, with Snyder, see, I have some mixed opinions on. I actually have some very unfavorable opinions on Zack Snyder. I'm not a fan at all. I really kind of found his work and this is just my opinion, whatever that is. I've found his work just to be like kind of unnecessarily pompous and flashy.
Oh yeah.
Like, not pompous. I feel he's just kind of all smoke and mirrors.
To a degree, yeah.
And, he really, I've never seen him come to the table film-wise with an idea that wasn't already made, that wasn't his IP.
Yeah. Well, like,
And maybe that's the purest fan of me from the horror aspect. Like, maybe that's just, maybe I'm just too big of a Romero fan, Mark. Because maybe I feel like, Dawn of the Dead was made perfect once.
Yeah, it was. Well, that's the thing. His Dawn of the Dead was fine, but wasn't anything significant.
It was
the
okay,
original is the
honestly.
classic, yeah.
The original's better. You can't.
Oh, yeah.
It had more of a poignant meaning. That one just, again, kind of felt like it was shoved down our throats with a spoon.
Yeah, if you're looking for, like, a zombie movie with a cool, like, undertones and message to it, the original is Dawn of the Dead. If you're just looking for fast zombies running around killing people, do Zack Snyder.
If you want to watch, but if you want to watch, like, those type of zombie movies, those with, like, kind of a message to them, watch the Romero zombie films. I would say cut it off after Land of the Dead because he still had messages in Diary, and
it just wasn't great. But Land of the Dead was actually still solid. Like,
Land of the Dead was great. That one dealt with classism.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And that was like, what, 04? So that's like Bush era.
Yeah, it's not even that old. Yeah,
and I actually might rewatch that because it's been a minute since I've watched it, but still, it's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and Day of the Dead dealt with the military complex, which is something still pretty fucking relevant.
Yeah.
And this one Dawn dealt with consumerism. Yeah. I think Day didn't really, Night of the Living Dead he never intended for that to have any message or anything.
No.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
He never intended for any of the racial subtleties to be there or anything. Just the last character who he cast happened to be black.
No, like the best guy for the job he saw happened to be a black man, and so he got cast in the lead role. And all of a sudden,
got cast.
Yeah,
that's all it is. But Romero has no problem. Never had problem with that context to it.
No,
all.
He loved it. Well,
he loved. Yeah, he loved. I mean, he was like, yeah, no, racism is bad.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Artists frequently learn this, that like what you create and what people interpret from your create is often different than your intention. And, it depends on how they interpret it. Sometimes there's bad interpretations that absolutely exist. But, like, if they're drawing it from the text of your media and with examples, then it's 100% valid interpretation, even if the artist intended it or not. So, that's something from Night of the Living Dead that was always interesting. Classic zombie movie.
Classic. But with Snyder, reel it back in.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Night, if he can come to the table with an original idea and even building his own, how Snyder came up with his own comic, not Snyder, but James Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
He came up with that own superhero of his own, and the one where he cast Rainn Wilson as him.
Yeah, super, yeah.
Yeah, that, and also not only that, James has a pretty good track record of successful hits in this genre of films.
Oh yeah,
I think it's fair to say that we could call all comic book hero movies like their own kind of it's like their own genre.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the Western at this point, and like,
yeah, it is very much like the Western at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
but James has a very successful track records thus far.
I mean, I come at this as someone who used to be a very big fan of Watchmen until recently. Like, I'm sure if I watch it, I will still enjoy it. But Zack Snyder's Watchmen is an interesting thing when you really examine it, because he copies that almost verbatim from the comic book. But yet he also adds his slow-mo fighting style. His almost he glamorizes the superheroes in a way that's not intended by Alan Moore whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that
either. And it's a weird movie. It's I'm certain if I rewatch it, I'll still enjoy it, but it's not in the same tone as the comic book. And it's just a stylistic thing where it's not that I don't think Zack Snyder wanted to misinterpret it. I think I get the impression he doesn't get it. He just thinks, isn't this a cool idea? I do, looking back on it more and more, I'm like, I think he looks at Rorschach as the hero. And you could argue he's kind of a hero, but he's also a fucking mental psychopath. And he's not someone to be looked up to at all.
No, he is he's not quite an anti-hero.
Yeah, he's pushing it. Yeah. And then I feel like you get the similar thing in Man of Steel, where I feel like Man of Steel, Zack Snyder sets up these great visuals and these great ideas for what to do with them. But then he doesn't follow through on hardly any of them, which is my biggest issue with Man of Steel. Man of Steel is set up to be the best Superman movie, except I feel like it doesn't really follow through on hardly anything.
No, it's not. It's not the Quest for Peace.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can never live up to the greatness of Quest for Peace. We do have to cover that sometime. Oh my god.
Best.
Oh, sure.
It features future DCU star John Cryer.
Oh, yep. And wait, our credibility is dropping fast. What's going on?
Well, that character was fucking hammy, but he did have a pretty cool car.
No. Yes, he did. But yes, anything you want to add to DC? Because right now I'm optimistic. I feel like right now they're going to take a lot of negative press over what they're doing. Because
the shit's gonna hit the fan.
Oh yeah,
probably it already has.
I mean, I'll be blunt.
Shit hitting the fan though.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
a
sorry,
lot of the casting they did, I thought was solid. I thought Henry Cavill was a good Superman. I think it's disappointing he never got his solid film. But there's a great tweet on Twitter talking about, like, someone said, I can't believe they're recasting Brandon Routh with Henry Cavill. It's only been like 8 years since his first movie. They need to give him another shot. He never had a good shot at this. And it's like, yeah, it happens. Brandon Routh had his moments. I think, like, especially seeing his later performances, I think he could have done a good Superman movie, but he just never had the shot. And lots of people don't even get as close as they do to have a shot at a good Superman movie.
And I think with Brandon Routh, like, Superman Returns, because that is a good movie. That is a good Superman installment to the first 4.
I don't know if I'll go that far, but I think Brandon Routh is solid in it.
I feel that had way too much studio involvement.
Oh, I'm certain. And, you know.
Oh, there's parts of it I don't like. There's parts of it I don't like. Mm-hmm. There's a lot about it I don't like.
You know, and,
like,
you know.
The
fact that it didn't have a director slowed it down, and the fact that they never had anybody cast as Lex Luthor, but he played a prominent role, also slowed it down as well.
Well, I mean, they casted a person who was a great actor for the role, and probably the only one who could fill Gene's shoes in that.
Mm-hmm.
He just happens to be a little disgraced at the moment.
Yeah, he just happens to be a monster. That, you know, as happens. But
yeah. You were saying, speaking of Twitter?
Yes, Twitter. So Elon Musk recently posted a poll asking if he should step down as the CEO of Twitter, and
he essentially sent out a post like that would go in, do you like me? Yes or no? Circle 1.
And what came out? 57% go away. Yes, go away.
Yes. 50% of the poll voted yes, and I think it was like 48 said no.
I think it's very telling because his simps are so vocal on Twitter. Like, if you were on Twitter, you would think, like, all of Twitter supports him with how vocal his simps are. But obviously, from this poll, from people who probably follow him or follow him adjacent, although it ended up in my feed, a lot of his stuff ends up in my feed, I think mostly because people I follow clown.
I will be honest, I follow him, but that's just to keep tabs on the sneaky fucker.
Yeah, no, there's a value to that. But yeah, people said, step down. You're not doing this well. You're not.
Amidst in the controversy of why he's stepping down is because he recently banned all journalists, I believe, from the Washington Post and the New York Post, or the New York Times.
I think it was a bit more random than that. I know Keith Olbermann was banned. I think Matt Binder was banned, but that was temporary. But like, there's a whole bunch of journalists that were just banned.
Yeah, Keith Overland. He's posting from the account he made for his dogs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and one of the things
at that, I mean, that's just like, God love Keith for still committed to journalism.
Yeah, and one of the accounts he also banned was Elon Jet, which was literally just an account that's even before he took over Twitter. An account that keeps track of his jet activity, which is public information. Like, you can't fly around a jet without that being known. And, like, you know, he banned it because Elon called it doxing. And it was just like, it's public information, man. You may not like it, but what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, isn't that also the same account that he said that he would not ban?
Probably. There's lots of things he said he won't do that he's doing.
Yeah, he did say, and he listed that account. Exactly. He claimed it's just because, you know, it gave an update on his son, which, A, I'm surprised he gives a shit about his kids at all. B, he had made a post earlier saying that, you know, he is at Twitter HQ in San Francisco going to be working all night.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you literally just... Go play with your Nerf guns on your bedside table and drink your caffeine-free Diet Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he is such a simp, and he was also photographed at the World Cup with Jared Kushner.
Of course, he was. Oh God.
And did you see that?
No, I didn't see that. Of course, I know the famous photo where he hung out with Ghislaine Maxwell. That's always a classic.
Oh, that one? No, yes, I know that one where he's hanging out with Ghislaine Maxwell. I've seen that one.
Yeah.
I try and heart it every time it pops up in a thread.
Mm-hmm. No. I have that picture of Trump and Epstein, and it comes in handy on Twitter when you come across lots of dipshits.
The one of him and Epstein together.
Yeah.
That one's a good one.
It's like,
use.
my reply to this is to put this right here.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, back to Elon. Although the Simps for Trump and the Simps for Elon, it's there's an overlap for sure.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
That reminds me. Something else we didn't even add to the news docket this week.
Yes.
Speaking of Trump and his NFTs.
Oh shit! I forgot about his NFTs. Oh my god, those things are hilariously bad. It's like him as a superhero and shit. And weren't they?
My favorite one was copyrighted images already. Yes.
Yeah, they're already stolen. And it's like, ooh, just not winning, man. No.
I mean, I was tempted to out of irony.
Yeah.
Just to also maybe hawk it because those idiots will buy any of those.
Yeah, true.
And if I could steal some money from them. But then I just didn't like the fact of me giving them my money.
Exactly. That's why I couldn't do it. It's like, I want to troll them, but no.
My favorite one was the Spaceman Trump.
I think that's the one I saw too. That was, they're so bad. They're so poorly photoshopped. It's like, oh god.
And like, man, I hope that. Well, I was going to say, I hope he didn't pay somebody for that. And then I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is Donald John Trump. He doesn't pay anybody to do anything.
True. He rips them all off.
What's so funny is how many people are just like going, I can't believe he's doing this. Like, what is he thinking? What is he thinking? This is the guy he has always been.
Mm-hmm.
I remember those Trump steak ads. I remember the Trump water ads. I remember Trump University. I remember all of those infomercial ads. And for the longest time, I thought that's all that guy was.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's all Donald Trump was. He's a guy who does infomercials.
Mm-hmm. Well,
this guy who does infomercials is so famous.
It just kind of reminded me. So, like, Trump has actually been, like, a person of impact even before he was president, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even a lot of the Sims may not even realize this.
Long before even The Apprentice, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had made his own notoriety in our world.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to say in like the 80s where they reinvented Lex Luthor as like a businessman, as like an evil businessman. Their template was essentially a smart Donald Trump.
Yeah. Yeah, the direction that they gave Anthony Starr for The Boys is like, take the wildest shit you ever heard Donald Trump say.
And just do it with conviction.
And like the Stormfront fans and everything, they based it off of the MAGA crowd in like January. Like they based it off that.
Oh yeah, no, they're going further into it with the recent season. I'm sure they're going to dive hard into it in season 4, which is why The Boys is awesome and everybody should be watching it.
And it's beautiful social commentary.
Mm-hmm. But bring it back to Elon Musk. One of his well, there's 2 things I wanted to talk about that happened with him recently. I'll go ahead and get to the newer one first. His weird rule where you aren't allowed to link to other social media websites. And
yeah, I'm going to test that theory tomorrow.
Well,
I promote this podcast.
Well, YouTube is not a block site, which is my first question, because YouTube is technically a social media site too, but he didn't block that one. It's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's a couple big ones. But the other thing he blocked, which this one really is weird, link tree sites. So I've even thought about setting up one for myself where it's just a link tree where it's just like, here's my links, here's my YouTube, here's my, Twitter, find all my social media. You aren't even allowed to link to that on Twitter anymore. And I'm like, the fuck? Really? And it's weird. Like, he's like, oh, well, I don't want to link to competitors. And it's like, you do understand Facebook and Twitter function way differently, right?
Like, they're totally different sites.
I occasionally get into a debate on Facebook, but not really. It's usually just mostly my family and shit, and my friends. Not a whole lot else. Twitter is
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
where I go, where I'm like going to like see if I can piss off one of these guys sometimes, or support my friends. It's pretty much one of those two for Twitter.
Yeah. Mostly that, or me finding a post on somebody, or just a random post, going through the thread and just kind of reading out of morbid curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I just find this one comment.
Yeah.
One that is just, crack my knuckles, and all right. Well,
let me break this down and show how dumb this is as quickly as possible.
or sometimes I find something that is really hilarious, like recently. My favorite helicopter hog killing congressperson made a tweet about
you have to narrow that down.
My helicopter hog killer?
Yeah, I can think of at least two.
Rep Green.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Representative Green. Yeah.
It's a little sad. That should be enough.
But the helicopter hog killing Green. How about that? So she had made some post about how she is horrified. Well, this was on a thread, sorry, where somebody had shared how she is, Representative Green made a tweet saying, Walmart, many of your customers in my district are reaching out to me about sex toys being sold in your Dalton store.
Mm-hmm.
They're extremely upset and absolutely horrified that sex toys are being sold openly right next to children's toothbrushes. This is grooming. So she's accusing the Waltons of grooming.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't the Waltons major contributors to the GOP?
They have been for years. Unless something's changed,
consecutively. So somebody in a thread, like this was a left side, a left-leaning thread who posted, the original poster was, they had, this other subscriber to this thread had commented, wait till she finds out what else Walmart sells: alcohol, condoms, muddy novels. I replied, don't forget the firearms.
Well, no, it's crazy. So they,
go
ahead.
Then this other person, I replied with, don't forget the firearms. They replied with, or worse, dairy. Me, oh lordy, oh, how could I forget that vile, evil dairy?
Mm-hmm. Well, so like
sometimes it's great exchanges like that.
Mm-hmm.
Other times it's me just calling somebody an ignorant fuck.
Mm-hmm. Well, you look at the picture she shared. And
follow both of us on Twitter, by the way.
Oh, yeah, definitely. At Organized Chaos Forever and at Bobby Quarters 13, right?
Yep, Bobby Quarters 13. And,
awesome.
and I'm the cool one. If I'm 100% certain you're not trying to sell smutty pictures, I will follow you back.
And if I am certain if you want to follow me and I'm sure you're trying to sell smutty pictures, it's fine. I'm just going to report you and block you. You're welcome to it. I'm game.
I had to go through and purge a bunch of followers I had, and I'm using air quotes there because for the longest time I'd go, "Oh, cool, follower. Oh, cool, follower." That's just before I did anything like YouTube or started up with the podcast. Just had a Twitter for the sake of having a Twitter.
Yeah,
but I had to purge through, and wow, I had a lot.
Yeah. Well, anyways, getting back to the sex toy thing, because the sex toys were actually on the top shelf, if you look at the picture she shared. And I think they were above the condoms. And then next to it, on the bottom, is where the kids' toothbrushes would be. And I thought somebody had a great point. It's like, when I can't believe they put that there. My kids just go hang out by the toothbrushes. It's ridiculous. That's all they want to do when they're there.
Right? Now, I will say this. At the Wally World in my neck of the woods, there is a section that is the healthcare section, which is what it is.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's where all that is.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one where I did see one time that they were right there, but all the sex toys and everything were right there in one area. But you know what else was right near all that? And there weren't any kids' toothbrushes. Those were 2 aisles over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stuff like, Vagisil, like Monostat, a lot of other health care and other stuff dealing with, STDs or anything of that nature, like hair for that, the over-the-counter stuff you can get for it, along with contraception. So all of that was kind of isolated in one corner of the store. Now, personally, I think, okay, that's a bit weird. All right, Wally World, you wilding out, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think anything of it. I mean, I used to work at a video store where we sold that stuff, so
Yeah.
it's not, I'm not too bothered by it. But I mean, part of me kind of goes like, wow, we at least kept it behind a counter.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Wally World.
Well, yeah, it's so weird, but in
Questionable,
response, yeah,
but whatever. Yeah.
In response to that tweet, I just had to do the Princess Bride gif where it's like, she called them groomers, and it's like, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. I do.
Seriously.
But I think the final piece of the Elon Musk thing I definitely want to bring up was that call, the Twitter live call.
Yeah, the social meetings or the voice meeting thing that they have there.
Elon Musk was there, and tons of media figures were there. And apparently, like, if your Twitter account's old enough and you're based on the old mainframe, even if your account's banned, you could get in that call.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Elon Jet, with lots of the banned people were there, and they're, like, mashing that question thing, trying to get a question to him. Very few people got in, but a couple did. And Elon, the whole thing, Elon asked it very awkward. It's one of those things where it wasn't a whole lot that was actually said, but it was clear Elon was awkward. He didn't like this. And then there was a point where he
sounded very uncomfortable and angry.
Yeah, and there was a point where he jumps out, but then he jumps back and he says something really quick, still sounding awkward and angry and a bit triggered. And then he jumps out again. And then they're all just like, oh, fuck, he left.
I don't think that was the burn you thought it was.
Yeah. No, he, you could tell that all those reporters were just ready to just jump on him. Oh my God, I have so many questions for you. Please, oh please.
So many of them were just like, yeah. And it was like, well, that was in the post. No, we posted what CNN posted.
Yeah.
Yes, and that was it. No questions asked. It's done.
Now that, as I recall, I think they asked Elon Jet, like, why are you sharing that? He's like, because I want to. And they're like, have you thought about not sharing it? It's like, yeah, but it's public information and I want to.
Which he's absolutely within his legal right to.
Yeah, it's like, it's public information. There's not much to say. So Pink Floyd released a whole bunch of live albums from their Dark Side tour, which I haven't listened to any of them yet, but that sounds fairly cool. It sounds like it's a copyright thing, but...
Yeah. Not much, but they quietly dropped all these live releases. Like no publication or, press on it, just quietly dropped it.
Yeah. Which that's fairly cool. But yeah, how many do we have here? What was the number? I think they did the counter. 18 live albums from Dark Side of the Moon tour. We got the Wembley Stadium one here. It looks like we got a Chicago show, couple Rainbow Theaters,
an LA show.
Nice. Yeah. I like I said, I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but yeah, these are certainly some classic stuff. What are your thoughts, Bobby?
I listened to a couple of them, or a couple excerpts from different shows. The audio is interesting, so it's not like what you would think a live album is, which would be like a direct soundboard recording. Some sounds like they might be fan recorded.
Really?
But still decent quality. Like I audibly hear like people, like they start a song and someone going, yeah. And that could still come up. Like maybe it is they're recording a microphone from the soundboard. Maybe.
Well, yeah, I always kind of assumed that they did they have like a separate thing to record the audience, and they do like a mix when they do an official album.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. You're going to want some audience cheer in there. Soundboard. Yeah. We'll probably get a little bit through the soundboard because there are microphones on that stage, but not. The goal when you're getting the stage mic is to get as little of that as possible.
Yeah, to either mic up the amp, instrument, or voice that you're recording.
Mm-hmm.
Now there could be some at the There could be a mic set up there to record the audience.
Mm-hmm.
They add into the mix later, but
I mean,
yeah, I'm not sure.
I know old school setups used to be mic in front of the amp, but now you just plug it directly in anymore.
Sometimes in the studio they still do that, but that's in the studio.
That's studio too. Yeah, it's a lot safer in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's. I would definitely say, like, if you have a streaming service, check it out. I don't have streaming services right now, but yeah, if you're a fan of Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, sounds like you got some stuff to listen to. Are we ready for Avatar 2?
All right, let's do it.
All right, Avatar 2. What are your thoughts, Bobby?
If you remember from last week, I wasn't too thrilled with the first one when it first came out, and still wasn't that impressed with like rewatching it. This one, I felt like it copied a lot from its own self.
I can see that.
It almost seemed like James spent more of the time on getting the best graphics possible, or special effects, or CGI, and not really moving the plot of this story forward all that much. I mean, sure, our main character, he has a family now, and all of it, but I don't know, a lot of it I felt was lazy. I did not like it.
So, here's an interesting development, because I went to see this last night, last minute. I had plans suddenly shift on me very quickly, so I just had to see it last minute last night. I actually liked it quite a bit. But I think there is a lot of value to what you're saying as well. So, like, we have the two main characters. It's Jake and Neytiri. They're married now, and they have 4 kids. And I was actually kind of shocked how much I liked the kid characters.
Don't get me wrong. I actually did like the kid characters. I did like them.
Yeah, I feel like we might even spend as much time with them as we do with Jake. Maybe even more. There's a big focus on them, and I was like, oh god, it's gonna be new characters, but I liked them. And you brought up the visuals, and this might be the difference. So I noticed the visuals in this looked even better than the first one. The first one's already starting to look dated. This one looked a lot better. And I thought they were actually pretty stunning. And there's lots of just, hey, look at these visuals in this movie. A lot of it. And if you're not on board with the visuals they're giving you, that could almost certainly kill this movie. I largely was. In fact, I would say my favorite character was that outcast whale, Pandora whale thing they had going on. I loved that thing.
In my opinion, that was the best part of that whole movie.
Yeah, no,
and even the part, that big moment with it, that was my favorite part of the whole movie.
That whale was awesome. No, I overall, I liked it. Yeah, but like if you're not on board with the visuals, I get it. It's a long one, and especially if you're not on board with visuals, because this is a visual movie. It's not even necessarily a lot of visual storytelling per se, but there's visual storytelling, plenty of it, but it's mostly just, hey, look at this, this look pretty. There's a lot of that in this movie. But
I think you were to take all of that out, you'd probably have a 2-hour, 15-minute movie.
Yeah, probably. It's really on board with, like, are you on board with these visuals? I think that's just the difference probably between us, because I largely was. There's a couple things that I like kind of eventually work for me, but first I wasn't sold on. So the villain, especially the main villain in this, is the same guy from the first movie. Yeah, I don't even know if that qualifies as spoilers, because this is one of the very first things introduced. He is a Avatar clone of the original guy. So the original guy's dead. They find his body there. The guy even crushed his skull. But he has an Avatar clone. And I feel like this might be a little bit of a continuity error, because they show him filming a introduction video to explain things to his avatar. It's obvious before he got the scar. And I don't know if it's supposed to be like an edited video or if it's just a continuity error, because he talks about how, you need to go get Jake Sully. And he had never met Jake Sully before he got the scar. So I don't know what that is about. Because the whole thing with Jake Sully was that Jake Sully wasn't even supposed to be there. His brother was supposed to be there. So why would he be concerned about Jake Sully? It felt off to me. Maybe there's some timeline thing they could do to explain it, but it felt a little wonky. But yeah, like I said, I like these kid characters. The youngest daughter doesn't really have a whole lot. She's largely just there to get kidnapped. And they do that a couple times.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah, and then what you have is the eldest son, who's essentially the peacekeeper. Then you have the youngest son, who is the troublemaker. And you have the eldest daughter, who is actually the child of Grace's... I guess we're getting into spoilers. The child of Grace's avatar, and they don't know who her parents are. And that's another thing.
Who her father is.
Yeah.
Who the dad is.
Yeah. They don't explain it, too. Because that's another thing. While this movie is a self-contained story, more or less, there are plenty of loose threads. It's obviously setting up for more Avatar movies. And that's the thing. When the first one ended, I wasn't sure how much I wanted more Avatar movies. Because, this one came out. I was like, James Cameron. I'll check it out. It's James Cameron. But after this one, I'm kind of on board for more. In fact, I'd probably say I enjoyed this more than the first one. But yes, there's lots of loose threads. The humans come back. Essentially, it's firmly established that Earth is dying, and they need to make this their new home. I think that's something they could dive into more. They don't a whole lot in this movie. They're essentially just the bad guys again. There's that one scientist. We didn't really see his fate. There's that one scientist who seems like he's probably going to be sympathetic. We'll probably see him come up again. But yeah, I like the kid characters. And I guess I don't, this is late in the movie. I don't want to spoil it. But there was a part in this movie where I have to admit I did shed a few tears. It was... I kind of don't want to spoil that one, even though I'm usually fine with spoilers. But
okay,
that one gave me a few tears. That was rough. But yeah, I'm on board.
I kind of saw that moment coming. I knew.
You see, I wasn't sure. I figured there'd be some sort of big cost at some point, but yeah, it still hit me.
Yeah,
even sometimes, in my opinion, that's how I know it's a good movie. Even if I kind of see it coming, if it still hits me, it's like, okay, you did it. You did a good job.
Yeah.
A couple other characters that I think we probably should talk about would be Spider, who I thought was an interesting addition. Spider is a human who was like all the humans were kicked off at the end of the first movie, if you remember, and except for a few scientists. But there is also Spider. Spider was a child of one of the humans who was kicked off, but he was too young to be transported, so he stayed around. Well, actually, it's not one of the humans that was transported. Okay, this is a big spoiler, but pops up early. Spider is the son of the main bad guy of the first movie and this movie. So yeah, there's a complex relationship between this because the human seems to jump around between hanging out at the lab with the humans and hanging out with the Na'vi and hanging out with Jake and Neytiri. So, it's not quite like he's their son, but he's like it frequently seems like they have 5 kids.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting thing to add into here. And seeing Spider develop is going to be interesting. Because
it's going to be interesting, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as opposed to how I felt the first one copied a lot from those 90s films, like Fern Gully, Pocahontas, Dances with Wolves. This one instead took a pinch of Jungle to Jungle and added it in.
Mm-hmm. I haven't. Maybe that's why I liked it more. I haven't seen Jungle to Jungle, so
you haven't?
No.
Tim Allen has a kid. And the mom has been living with the tribe in Africa for years. That's the point.
Wow.
And then they take,
I could see that.
And then he takes the kid to the big city.
Mm-hmm. So I guess it seems like the conclusion I draw from both our opinions would be, if you watch the first one and you think the visuals look cool, maybe they're a little dated, but overall they look cool. I think you'll probably enjoy this. If you're not on board with the visuals of the first one, this is probably just going to be a 3-hour slog.
You're not going to be a fan of the second one, yeah.
Yeah. It seems like I guess that makes sense. But I would also say this one, I think the visuals are better, but it's also way more visual heavy. You have a lot less humans in this one. It's almost all blue people. Let's see. Did you have any final thoughts, Bobby?
No, not really.
Okay. Yeah.
This was the last movie I saw while I was healthy.
Hey.
So I blame this movie for my sickness.
Ooh, it's evil. It's evil.
That's
fucking
unfair.
Cameron.
I don't. Yeah, I don't mean that. I mean, I can say it. I just don't mean it.
Mm-hmm. But next up, we have Willow, the first 4 episodes of the series. My first thoughts, like I was somebody who was a big fan of the movie, so I was pretty excited for this series. Now that I've seen the first 4 episodes, I'd have to say I'm enjoying it, but it's not quite what I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's definitely not what I was expecting.
Well, I think the biggest thing that threw me off, and I really shouldn't have expected it. So the movie was kind of a bomb in the theaters, and it made its money back on home release. So obviously, when they do this sequel series, they're going to have a much more constrained budget. And you kind of feel it. I feel like storyline-wise, it's actually kind of interesting, but like the world feels smaller in this than it did in the movie. Like the movie felt like this fully realized whole world, and they did a great job setting that up. And this doesn't really feel like that. And I'd say that's probably my biggest issue, because I think the storyline's interesting. I like the characters. But yeah, it doesn't have that same feel as the movie does, and I kind of miss that. What are your thoughts, Bobby?
So far, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but I definitely agree with you that the world feels scaled down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say, yeah, they're adding a lot more layers to the story that we're familiar with, and bringing us forward.
Yeah.
Into, I guess, the current time of where we're at in the series.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the baby that Willow protected throughout the entire feature film is now grown up, and I guess now they're at the point where they're training her or preparing her for the great battle. The one that I'm pretty sure was averted at the end of Willow.
Well, that's the thing. Bad Morda was averted at the end of Willow, but I feel like there's a different prophecy maybe with her. Because what I liked about Willow was essentially that whole prophecy was fulfilled in that movie. The baby would be her downfall, and the baby was her downfall, but not directly. It's not like the baby stopped her. Bad Morda just fucked herself up, got obsessed with stopping the baby, and that was her downfall.
Yeah.
And that I like that.
And the prophecy that came true was that her daughter betrayed her. That's what that prophecy came true.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're dealing with here is well, number one, we haven't seen that much of Shorsha, but the little bit we've seen of Shorsha, I'm not thrilled. She seems to be kind of following somewhat in her mother's footsteps. Like, not entirely, but not like, she's not great. She's not.
Yeah.
She was kind of a bitch to Willow when Willow was like, hey, why don't I help out? And she's like, yeah, get the fuck out. I don't want to deal with you.
I did love that goatee on him, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That was some great facial hair on Warwick Davis.
Yeah, so timeline-wise, in case you're wondering, this takes place 20 years after the original, I want to say? 18 or 20 years. The movie was 32 years ago. But they're kind of able to cheat it, mainly because Warwick Davis was only like 17 when he did that movie. So now he's 52, so you could just say, oh, yeah, he was 30. Yeah, but essentially, you have was it the crone and her minions are after Elora Danan, and so Elora Danan and Mad Mardigan's they kidnap Mad Mardigan's and Sorsha's son. So their daughter, Elora Danan, and essentially a little pack of friends, along with Willow, are going to go save the son, Eric.
Now, have we found out what happened to Maid Morgan?
No, they have not established. All they've established is that he disappeared. No one's sure where he's at. And I was thinking maybe they could figure out a way to like bring him back, but maybe like say like the crone took his voice or something through magic or something. I wouldn't object to that.
No, I mean Val probably couldn't physically perform a lot of.
I'm not sure how his health is doing. He's recovering.
I know he's recovering.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Like if he is up for it, I am all for it.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it if Val's up for it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that they didn't just kill him off because I assumed they'd just write into the story that they killed him off. You know, and it's one of those things where it's like I'd love to see him come back, but I don't blame them if they do that. And they didn't.
Yeah, I'd love to see him come back, but I won't blame him if I don't see him.
Yeah, no, but well, that's the thing. They didn't write him out immediately, so I'm like, maybe we will get a cameo. You know, maybe he's feeling up for it. That would be awesome. I am game.
Maybe. I mean, I'm gonna be really upset if it's some like we see him on his deathbed.
That'd be I'd prefer not that. Maybe he'll be up for it, and maybe they'll do a little bit of de-aging. I don't know. We'll have to see. We have to see how they handle it. But like Mad Mardigan, the fact that Mad Mardigan isn't written out of the series at this point, it's kind of promising. I'd love to see Val come back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm just more thinking in reality, like, if they did kidnap his son and he was there, they wouldn't have made it too far.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have to see what his story is, because right now it's just he disappeared.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Willow's wife or son yet, and that's another thing they haven't really explored. We've seen his daughter. But yeah, that's, and some of it also comes down to the scaling. So, like, we go to the Nelwyn village, and apparently the village isn't there anymore. They had to leave it and now live in caves. Feels a lot smaller scale than it once did. But yeah, they're looking for Eric. Like I said, I'm enjoying this. I want to see where it goes at this point. I like the characters. Borman is probably definitely a character I'm really enjoying. Sometimes I will say his dialogue doesn't quite feel like he lives in the same time period as these guys. But I don't know, it kind of works. He kind of sells it. But there's that point where he pops up, guys, I need a recap. It's like, I don't know if they said that in the middle of Cages, but whatever.
No, I don't think they did either.
Whatever. He kind of sells it. I like
it. It just interrupted on my side.
Oh, okay. Well,
and I don't see you anymore.
I wonder if Discord disconnected.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't see a second Discord window. Let me pull this up again. Well, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I just see your window with your logo.
Yeah, I don't have the pop out. Yeah, there it goes. And can we... All right, you should be good now.
There you go. All right, yeah.
Yay! Cool. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying this. I want to see where it goes.
I'm the thing I'm enjoying also is how I think it was in the third or fourth episode where we see a point where Willow talked to the little girl, the promised one, when she was young and kind of scared her. Mm-hmm. And the queen kicked her out of the castle, and then he's like, I don't care what happens to her. I'm done. I'm done with this. And we see him being haunted by those dreams.
Yeah.
I wonder if thread will come into play later.
No, yeah. I imagine it will, but yes. We'll have to see. Another thing... Oh, I just thought... God damn my brain. I just saw something I wanted to dive into, but yeah. I hate my brain. I just had a decent. Yes, we will have to see how this plays out, though. Like I said, it's like if you're expecting like a big scale world like they had in the movie, it's not quite there. This is definitely scaled down because the movie was not a huge hit. But I am enjoying it. Oh yes, I remember. I love when they talk about the battle at Knockmore Castle and talk about how the great wizards Finn Rizal and Willow use their powerful magic to defeat Bad Morda, and it's like I could see how that could become the story.
Yeah,
I thought that was a fun touch.
What happened? But
yeah, it's like he didn't. It wasn't just one wizard and one guy who did a trick that fooled her. And I did think it was. But yeah,
that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, throughout this, like, we've seen Willow use some magic, but he's very reserved with it. He doesn't use it a whole lot. It makes me wonder, like, he's done stuff with that staff. Like, outside that staff, does he really do much, I wonder? Of course, it was also introduced in the first one, like, how much of wizardry in this universe is just, like, theatrics? Because
yeah, that
was the first thing that was told to him by the High Elder in the first one. It's just like, the bones tell me nothing and stuff like that. He's, this is theatrics, man.
Yeah, it's theatrics.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we will see how they explore it. But yeah, I'm digging it. You ready for Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yes. So we got to the end of the first season now.
Yeah.
This is awesome. I love this series.
Yeah.
I'm digging it.
Yeah, I was a big fan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I totally called who the Hyde was from the first time we got to see it and we found out the mystery.
Well, yeah, spoilers. Yeah. He was a front runner for me. And I think they obviously knew that. It was like, for me, throughout the whole thing, it was either him or the kid they accuse of it, like in the 7th episode, I want to say. It was between the two of them. And once that kid was accused of it, I was like, oh, so it's the other one. Okay. I think...
I knew it was the cop's kid.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I leaned that way. But, like, yeah.
I thought it was either him or the cop.
Mm-hmm.
Or the cop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the cop one would have been interesting, too. But, yeah. I think it definitely, like, leaned towards one of the romantic interests for Wednesday, obviously. And I think as they got more and more, connected, it was just like, yeah, it's got to be him, right? It's
got to be him.
Mm-hmm. Well, he just seemed like the nice kid that worked at the coffee shop. There's nothing weird about him, right?
No.
And as for, like, the person, like, running him, I feel like Christina Ricci was introduced as, like, the obvious sus person early on. And then they didn't do anything with her, which I'm too used to narratives. For me, that's like, oh, that's super sus that they kind of plant some seeds, but then, like, towards the second half, they just start ignoring those seeds and just move on to other suspects. It's like, yeah, it's usually what you want to do to make people forget and then, like, recall that shit later.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a fine line of playing it safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, this is just a really well done series. I just like the whole idea of, hey, we'll just do something with Wednesday, which is a popular character anyway, ever since Christina Ricci did it in the movies. And just kind of bring that character back, but, like, bring her into, like, a new world setting. And, like, her family's still there. I mean, things still regular. But her family's still there, but they're much more background characters. And she's just living in, like, a school. And, like, it's just a cool idea for a series. And I like what they're doing. It's a completely different take on Addams Family. But it feels, like, faithful to it, too. So, I dig this. They did a really good job.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it as of now.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah, well... I think I'm getting tired.
Oh.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's yeah, but I feel like I should have more to say. I like this show.
I really do too. Yeah. We did get to see at the end of it. We find out that how the town is based off of pretty much witch burning.
Yes. Yeah.
To sum it up, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the whole idea behind it was essentially the whole town was founded on the idea of let's kill the outcasts and normies, and yeah, it didn't really
Normies should rule.
But obviously, like the villains are like, oh, let's bring that back.
Well, that's because we found out that Christina Ricci's is a descendant of the original crier guy who wanted to do all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and we get a big showdown at the end. We lose Gwendolyn Christie, but whose shape-shifting abilities come into some baller.
Yeah,
play.
no, like she was a character. Like she seemed like I didn't think she was a bad guy, but she was just kind of a bitch. I thought throughout, kind of just that bitch edge to her. But in the end, like she was kind of awesome. Like it was just like fucking based as hell. When she actually died, it was like. There wasn't that long where I was thinking, oh, wow, awesome. But then, like, they timed it perfectly. So I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, she's pretty cool. And then she's dead. And it's like, oh, come on. No, there's actually more deaths than this than I was anticipating. Like, it felt like they had, like, a few regulars in there. And, like, 3 or 4 of them die? I'm like, okay, got some balls?
Yeah. I thought for a minute they were going to kill off that kid, Eugene.
I know. Eugene was one of the nicer ones, too. And
yeah, I thought they were going to kill him off.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a nice, kind of tip of the hat to that nerdy boy that Wednesday befriended in the sequel.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about that yet. But yeah, definitely. David Krumholtz, I think that was the nerdy kid. Yeah. But yeah, Eugene was kind of awesome because, he was just the beekeeper guy, and I didn't really think much of it. And then it's revealed that, oh yeah, he can control them, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool. I didn't know that one.
And then it's just like, I think he just became my favorite character.
And it's like, oh shit, he's a badass. I didn't realize that shit. But yeah, I actually like the child characters. Well, I guess they're probably played by young adults, supposed to be playing teenagers, but they all do a good job. Like the siren, Bianca, I thought her story was interesting. Yeah. She's got issues. She's got mother issues for sure. Essentially, it seems like her mom just wants to she's losing her powers, and she just and she's just looking to her daughter to carry on being kind of a bitch with your siren abilities. And it's like, yeah, I don't like you. But like Bianca, it seems pretty reasonable. Yeah, I think they do a good job with creating all this cast of characters to work around Wednesday and play off her. I think obviously the best one is probably Enid, her roommate, who is just such a contrast. She is, this colorful, bright, multicolored fingernails, multicolored hair. Just this character that just plays directly against Wednesday.
But we also got to see her finally transform, too.
Yeah, I know. Through most of it, it was just beast. She's never going to be a werewolf. She's never going to be a werewolf. And then, when it was needed, it's like, oh, shit. She's a werewolf. It was awesome. I thought what they did with her character, and you actually get the sense that Wednesday and her are friends, even though they are so different. I think they play that nicely. They do a good job with that relationship. But yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall, this was a great series. I think they did a great job with it. I'm not sure how much Tim Burton was involved, because it seemed like he directed the first 4 episodes, and I'm not sure. He probably produced the rest, but...
Yeah, I think he just executive produced them.
Yeah. Obviously directing it means he's got a heavy hand in those first 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is awesome. Anything you want to add?
No.
All right. So, next week, next week we're off. Yeah.
Yeah, we're off next week.
Yeah, we're going to be, there's a holiday coming up. I think it's like Arbor Day or something. I can't keep them straight. But yeah, we're taking that off. Yeah, we're taking Flag Day off.
Yeah.
But in 2 weeks, we have a Knives Out double feature. We're going to be looking at the original Knives Out and then the new one, Glass Onion. And and then we're also going to be looking at Strange World, which will be on Disney Plus in a couple days. Okay. That one has a huge upset because apparently there's a brief flirting scene between two boys. Okay. It doesn't take much to trigger people anymore, I swear to God.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, that should be fun. So that will be in 2 weeks. Will I put together a little something for the podcast channel to fill that gap? Or will I just let it go for 2 weeks? I don't know. Find out in 1 week. I know.
You'll know in a week.
Yeah. But everyone have a good one.
Take care.
Oh my God, you get to cheat.
I'm doing it, I promise.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure you're not lying. You have to stay still. Oh my God, you're so still.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.